Welcome to the lovely IHP community and the 5D collective. We had a lovely episode for our emotionally invincible elite squad. So, those who are emotionally available because of being securely attached, self led, mystic, spiritual, mindfully living, loving people. And because I know some of you like the gist of things, we're going to give the gist of the message, which is when someone says, I love you, they can only love if they are a solo self who's ready to share their solo self with another solo self. And that's in general. And that means you don't have to perform, so it doesn't feel like you're under pressure. Okay, so when you hear anybody who's talking to you about how hard it is for a relationship, let me remind you, if you don't know me, my teenage boyfriend, my first serious relationship, everyone's saying to teenagers, your first, you'll never forget, da 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 da. And I'm like, love is all the same. And that's when people say, no, it's not. Oxytocin, gene hormone. Again, I'm a securely attached, healthy, self-worth woman. So when I say it's all the same, what I'm saying is that I have compersion because I have a sense of security of Maria being able to live alone in the big world where I'm not afraid of the bear anymore. And that's because I'm a securely attached, self-led human being. So I don't suffer a relationship because I don't suffer my 0-1-year-old. When people get the explanation, they say, that's not love. And I say, I'm not trying to make it technical. I'm actually giving you an embodied brain explanation. You don't have to believe the data. I'm the pseudoscience woo lady after all, but please don't tell me that you don't believe in neuroscience or in all of neurobiology and evolutionary biology and da-da-da-da. So if you're one of those and you want to go follow pseudo-intellectuals because they give you a story so that you can prance around and think that you know what love is and it's really hard and how to be badass and you're going to watch your fucking back. Okay, so that's the part of where we don't do pretend when you're authentic and genuine. So if I say I love you, the vows, the virtue, the integrity, yes, polyamory community, we know of it. So do pronouns, so do people, and anybody who's consistently using virtue, integrity, and only talking about one group with tradition from our silverbacks and ancestors, I know already who they are. And there's one of two equations. Either they have not been in the room with a securely attached, healthy self-worth, mystic, spiritual, and or mindful living, loving, polyamory, and or monoamory human being and more. So they haven't been around genuine intellectuals because I am an intellectual. I bring to you education with entertainment and entertainment with education because I'm here for self-help personal development. And as an online marketer and entrepreneur, I know exactly what I'm doing. And when people like to chime in, it reminds me of those shitty LinkedIn emails that I get. And I'm like, did they not read my bio? Oh, wait, I forgot. They use everything automated, so they don't really care to nurture. They're trying to get as many emails out as possible, which is why I do not enjoy sales pitches in the ways of making it into superheroes and supervillains. Also, I don't appeal to a large audience of the masses. I appeal to a large audience of intellectually and emotionally and physically genuine brains that know mystics exist. So do spiritual people, so do scientists, and we don't fight amongst each other because the only ones who get that petty are the same ones that aren't genuine because, again, they have a 0-1-year-old and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 that didn't get to be a cockroach like I, and to know that you're all bonus. And so love is consistently seeping through every one of Maria's bones because, hey God, I love you, man. Hey Jesus, hey Holy Spirit, high five. And Buddha makes fun of me and I make fun of suffering because, seriously, Buddha, you sat under a tree. So when someone's dragging a pain point around and you're an adolescent and you tell them and they say you have no emotions, that's why that fancy lady who goes ahead to say it's not inherently enlightening or healthy, or it's not true that it's inherently enlightening and healthy to be non-reactive, she's playing with words. Because had she gotten the download on the data, she would know why non-reactivity is health. And then she would say, you know what? I'm going to pursue that. Because there's an awesome lady named Pat Ogden. So Pat Ogden reminds me of a story about what true love is, where it's a person who proposes to the love of his life. And I don't know if they're polyamory or monoamory couple. But as soon as the proposal's done, he all of a sudden is leaving, breaking it up or something like that. I remember only the gist of the story, but he decides because this doesn't make sense to him, because he knows he loves her, he decides, I'm going to go get help immediately from what I've gathered. So his marriage gets saved. So that's what tells me you know what love is. Because you'll notice, I know what I want, and this is not what I want. And you'll know it from the heart because you're actually contemplating it with the mind. And you are also using the emotions of happiness and not some pain point that you're dragging around and thinking that love is unrequited or some shit like that. Okay, which is where the saga and dramas are coming from every angle. And I just got used to hearing, teenagers on a wheelhouse. So the men, women, and theys who are securely attached, you better bet they're not spiraling down in hell when any relationship doesn't go the way they want, because they have better things to do with their 24 hours, because they appreciate breath and they appreciate their loved ones and they appreciate eating and they appreciate actually building something to leave for the future generations, whether they are parents or not, because they actually care for the children. So they're all not yelling at each other, that's for sure. The ones who yell are of the relationship soul age group. I'm sorry, I forgot. I'm in the enlightenment soul age group. So the different soul age groups give me a way to tell you why some people will this lifetime be in their hissy fits. But also we're 8 billion. So we all make a difference, because obviously if we all had the same voice and the same song, we'd be one big ball of energy. And we'd be the same sound we all are. And I think I'm doing it right. So the ah is the root, the ooh, or however you pronounce the heart, and then the is the prefrontal. That's how I'm going to bring it to you. So when you can have fun with life, you're not actually thinking that there's only going to be one opportunity for you to meet actual emotionally, mentally, and physically invincible men, women, or theys, because also I'm a human who believes in my own species and I believe in humanity. And now that I know how there are plenty of amazing human beings out there with the sciences, because they're the ones who explain to me what God already told me. All your brothers and sisters, Maria, they can do it, don't worry. But you're not the one who's going to make them, because it's their body. That's why I'm pro-choice. And you're also not going to make scientists into faithful ones, because they serve a purpose. They come at the other end of the spectrum and prove what we already knew. That's why we have common sense, those of us of faith, and we know there's no war going on, meaning spirit in the sky. There's no need to be concerned of battlefields. But some people need to be motivated by, it's not how hard you hit, it's how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward, by saga and drama. Those are the drama kings and queens who refuse to take themselves to a good therapist, who tells me it's disrespectful to call drama kings and queens. And I say, you don't know about being in a desert where you are ready to move on and have a good time with the village, and you get to be brought to stay in the desert. Which, I thank God all of my lovely lessons, they always come to where I'm meant to be. But I'm like, come on, he could have left the hand, So what I'm trying to say is, you can create a bridge, yes, and you can always know what a true temple is. You don't put any piece of information or God or anything above anything, because that's not how it works. It's all a flat line. Secure, attached, self-led people are integrated brains. We completely contemplate. So back to the love topic. I'm getting sidetracked so that I can make it a short one. When someone says, I want to be in a relationship, it's always gotten fascinating to me where they say, I've been hurt before, I don't want to be hurt again. And it's like, what do you mean hurt? We all have a heart. Don't you know Home Alone? The second one, where he explains to the lady he left his rollerblades in the room and he grew out of them. And really, you don't grow out of using your heart. But if there's one thing that is amazing in life, is being able to share, one, authentically who you are. I love every day of my life because people know who I am. When they don't like me, I'm used to it, meaning I was 4, so I know it's okay. As for love, it's easier by the minute, because Maria grows more loving of who I am, because I'm busy in my 24 hours. I continue to cultivate every single thing that I am cherishing and having fun doing. So the part about when you hear anybody watching their back, one, they don't know Terry Real, apparently, because he's all over the internet. It makes it really simple for you to go take your significant other to him, whether, again, you're monoamorous, polyamory. So the big deal is what I'm saying. You can tell that anybody who's making a big deal hasn't figured it out, that secure attachment, self-led people don't make it into a big deal. We're just not going to waste our time using a platform to talk about people who are fearful ones, because they will do the same thing. They will make up a story for themselves where we will not have the capacity to pity you, because that's called, I would be disrespecting your free will choice, at least for me, from spirituality and God, with determined, and Robert Sapolsky's book is determined, then really it's a no-brainer. You have no free will. You didn't get a good start. You didn't get love. You got fear when you grew up and when you're raised, and there you go. So you have to have suffering for your life. You got the short end of the stick. Oh, and you don't want to do therapy or mindfulness or meditation or heal it, really. So if you're going to go around saying, I love you, okay, teenage boyfriend, it's the third year. We love each other. This is getting ridiculous. Now I'm feeling like it's ridiculous. I wasn't embarrassed about the cheating. No, because I don't rule Maria's life based on ignorant and superficial teenagers, because that's what they all were, except for the ones who weren't. And then I got to grow up and meet more ignorant grown-ups as I'm sitting around with men and women, and I have finally at least the one out of the many twin flames, and then, my oversoul, and I'm sitting in the presence of men and women who ask each other for permission to go on vacation. And then some of them, it's the man can go without having to ask. The woman has to ask. They can go with women, and just like, I'm sorry, excuse me. I mean, I know that I'm different with the way that I handle my relationships, because I'm not a jealous woman at all, because, that doesn't, and I try not to tell them, because I know it's cultural for some people. As for our polyamory community, securely attached ones don't do that. You're not poly enough. We have compersion. So do mono-secure people. Monoamory, securely attached. Just so you know. So there's no drama. And actually, we do not want to use our voice, because when I have drama, kings and queens, if you let it come out, then they're happy. You heard them. They got heard, seen, soothed, and they can leave and feel satisfied that they ruminated one more day in their life, and that the life that is hitting them consistently to the ground is proof for them having bore and bearing a cross. And I think that's so disrespectful to the man who actually bore it. But then again, some, they do want to hug the tree. So I guess in that case, they are honoring. But I believe Buddha wants you to move into the restorative embodiment, self-awareness, accountable, regulating life too. So you can sit under a tree, of course. But again, I digress. So back to love. As I was saying, you don't say, I want love someone, and you don't open your heart. If you feel that it's too much, it's pressure, it weighs you down, that's a cue. You want therapy, because that's not how life and love are working for anyone who is a securely attached, healthy, self-led person. We all have trauma charges, but our child parts, we get to be, it's going to be okay, Maria. It's going to be okay, whatever your name is. And that actually works. And we don't think, I want a checklist so I can make sure never to be fucked in the ass again. I don't get fucked in the ass, meaning there's no concern. Because betrayal means coward. COWARD. It's a very straightforward equation. And then it's pathology if it's to the extent of me needing Michael Stone, forensic criminologist, 1 to 22 scale. So this is not even about love. It's about a human being who got a very short end of the stick. Shit went down, and there's people who lacked education for what the evil scale is, and they lack even further education of noticing where their ego's so blind that they've locked themselves in a room. And I'm just like, wow, your pseudo-intellectuals are really praising you, and you're all a group, and I can't wait to keep making fun of you, because I'm 45. I got at least another 40, if not 50, I hope even more, to make fun of you without naming you, because I don't do petty shit like that, because I actually know who wins. God wins, and God knows there's no Lucifer. He laughs with me. So does Akash, Anima Mundi, and intelligence, because Robert Sapolsky, man, love you, determined. I mean, if he's correct, it's okay. We already know who the chosen ones are, because it's based on the intelligence of your integrated brain. I didn't want to be this mean, but I'm going there, because neuroscientists know you can easily go to the flow state. And I want the people that know that, because mindfulness practices only help those people. The ones who don't know how to do mindset skills, they don't like to hear that we are all special, because that's actually the very thing their teenagers say, no, they're not. They don't look. They love all equally. They're not special. So these couples that I'm talking to, as I'm just like, wow, I'm so lucky. And little did I know that eventually I'd figure out, yes, you were very lucky, as always, Maria, as you continue to, for me, closing out all of my past life stuff with the masculine part of me and the feminine, I'm very lucky. So I'm completely intrigued in how Dharma is going to continue playing out for me as a mystic as well. But what I'm trying to say is I've always found it odd someone will say they love me and they don't, because they don't really want to share themselves with a person. Because the minute you begin performing, it's a circus act. That's what I told my facade friend as I yelled in his face. I only asked you to be yourself, and look, I find you telling me shit I don't even know anything about it. And he's like, and so when a person doesn't like hypocrites that are people who hide themselves, I just learned how not to tell them. I'm a hypocrite for my facade friend. So yes, when it's hard for people to love, it's because they have something that needs addressing with somebody else. I just think they need to stop telling us they love us and that they love. It would be nice, wouldn't it, if the not securely attached person could first go and figure out how to love themselves first, so they would know what love is. And then they would understand why it's under pressure. No, there's no pressure because I'm not performing, because I'm actually just saying, hey, here I am, rocking like a hurricane. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Okay, so today as a 45-year-old woman, what I told the teenage boyfriend was very common sense, and what I'm letting you all know, if somebody doesn't have an easy time in a relationship, that's a sign. I saw the sign that you might want to say, I am not here to make your life more weighed down. So if it's too much pressure, we don't have to be in this. Like I told, well, it wasn't the same thing, but it was, you need to just decide. I mean, really, what the fuck? So I'm grown and I still find people flip-flopping and they're very insecure. Do I get insecure? Yes. Yes, whenever I have to physically move location, my body begins to get into like a lot of anxiety. But as for human beings and relationships, no. No, because usually they're not a physical threat. Because if they are, I won't be near them. You wouldn't hear about it, even because, I mean, really, I would be dead. I'd be physically dead. That's all I got to say to you. So when you have that much faith in your gut, because it's a good gut, just saying, love is easy, like I said. And so people who don't know love, they just make me wonder, why are you bothering trying to get into a relationship? Telling somebody you don't trust them doesn't have a good start. And not noticing if you really do want a relationship also, that's not a good start. I never thought of relationships as any kind of pressure. I've realized there's a lot of people that find it a commitment that means I need to work. Nope. Thanks, Gabor Mate. I did get free love. Yep. I got to share all my emotions, still do. And, I didn't work for love one day in my life. And in fact, anybody who's ever you can't make a person who knows what love is work for anything, because I'm not trying to give you that's not, I mean, really. So if it's not enjoyable, that's where your amygdala will alert you to the unsatisfied relationship you're in. By the way, as for the amygdalas who are ruled by ourselves, we know exactly what we're intrigued by. And, we accept and love and respect all equally. But I don't actually make up bullshit. I like to say actions speak louder than words. And that's because that's what a true lover, they will actually not only speak the words, they will also take the action. So they're not cowards. And they don't perform, and it's not hard, and it's not ups and downs and roller coasters. But a good couples therapist is important for any of you who have a hard time speaking up for yourself. And even if you can speak up for yourself, it's still best to have a mediator, because you never know. That's for those of you who have committed though to your life together in the same 4 rooms or 1 room or whatever, because that is the moment that it's okay, we're deciding to share expenses. So we want to make sure that we're doing the right thing and that we continue to be able to have a lively house, because dying with someone as a ball and chain is not the way any of those of us who are from this time and era will go. Except for TED Talk people who think that that's what a relationship is, which is sad, because I guess their parents did that or something like that. I have, on the other hand, been raised by a single parent. And then I have had a step parent who's my parent, who raised me. And when someone is ignorant to the extent of thinking that a household in the absence of two parents or the biological parents is what fucks people up, I'm just going to say no. Actually, no, what fucks people up is their emotional immaturity, half-brained, and the inability to know how life don't hit you. And it's not that it keeps hitting you and getting you to your knees, because really that figure of speech just sounds like you're wasting a lot of time in what is drama king and queen land teenagers who are grown-ups who want me to think that evil rules who? Your mind, obviously, when you wake up in the morning and when you go to bed. And wow, so happy I'm not in your brain, because my brain is doing way better, and so are all these successful entrepreneurs who are out there who are definitely not consumed by their Snow White or Cinderella stories, or even, the 12 karat golden ring. I mean, really, I laugh anytime I think of a ring, because I'm wondering, what are you going to do with that? Do you have a real man? Are you a real woman? Are you a person who knows what love is? Because if you did, then you'd know what virtue and compersion. And again, you wouldn't be using any of those words to put people against each other either. So I also think of that as we continue to talk about how easy love is for the securely attached, self-led, mystic, mindful, living, loving, spiritual person, and anybody of you, however it is you call yourself. Come on over and let's have a good time. But yeah, people who say they love but then they don't, it's very clear when they're afraid. It's again, Terriel, thanks man for being out there. Patrick Tiahan, and also lovely Gabor Mate. These are three men, good educational podcasts. I've decided to try and spotlight the actual genuine intellects that allow our men to become real men, our women to become real women, and theys as well. For polyamory, we have Jessica Fern and her two books, Poly Secure, Poly Wise, really great. The Poly Fidelity Vessel, again, is really awesome. And when you're securely attached as a poly, you don't say, you're not poly enough. And a monoamory, don't be like, you're a whore, you're a masochist. No, that's not how it works. Just in case we have any of you who are confused. And please remember, I'm very old. I'm 45. So I don't know as many young people. And I need to try to remind myself that, because the young people are a lot more smart than my old folk. Again, the old couples, they weren't old, they were 20, and now I've seen 20-year-olds actually want to be empty vases and look up to pseudo-intellectuals who need not to be looked up to. And as you try to explain to them how the brain works and how love works and how actual fulfillment works, they have a fear of missing out on that which is not Lucifer. It is actively a human being who has not bilaterally, vertically, overall integrated, and their rigidity is very clear, because the minute that, again, you're not able to listen to me, I'm just saying, I know I also have a situation when it comes to changing my stuff, but I will hear you, which is what I also shared in this conversation, that I'm just as equally culpable of certain aspects that I see. But if you tell me, and I've been told that I'm socially sometimes awkward, I will try to understand, and then I will try to remember how you taught me manners. You isn't enough to be saluted. I looked at him. See, there you go. I'm just saying, like, I'll try to ensure. I'm so sorry. Excuse me. Is this better now? I'm sorry. I was cursing. So I'm just saying, though, when someone addresses a person and makes sure they know, I didn't say anything because, you told me that I was inappropriate and that I wasn't supposed to. So I'm just trying to make sure you're okay with. Okay, you don't walk around eggshells. You actually understand that they all lead together in a team and they pat each other on the back. So love, it's easy for those of us who love and there's no performance. But if I have to think, one sad thing is the ones who are under pressure. And I think, wow, that's just really, really, how old are you? Oh, don't think wedding bells after they fuck you because you're trash now. In fact, there's a man who informs you of how they won't text you back because after they've pulled out, they have contempt, disgust towards you, and then shame. But we don't know where the shame goes, and those two should be a pair. But he has a wife. She, on the other hand, I think has no husband. I'm not sure. They both look great in suits. So does the other suit intellectual. And now I'm going to add this other dude there because he just interviewed a man who made me know that he's so insecure about how he does sex, that if his woman would have better sex with any other previous boyfriend, that he would break up with them because I met your parents and I spent time on you. And so he treats, in fact, a relationship like a job, which makes me think, I guess his parents did that or something. Wow, like that's just the saddest thing ever. So love is free here. And the ones who don't like it, it's okay. We don't want them. We really don't want fearful, emotionally unavailable men, women, and days. Again, I'm so thankful because Maria's oversoul protected Maria from all of that, which I see today is quite common. Securely attached people with rejection wounds, abandonment wounds, and a lot more. What I'm happy is that my facade friend, he's not one of my lovers. No, he's my facade friend. He got me to know what abandonment and rejection sounds like and why buffoonery is the protection mode, and then how not to yell in their face once I find out they're not being their true self. And I'm yelling in his face. And then the attachment trauma educators made me very well aware of what to look for and how not to say anything because biologically rude people are their 0 to 8-year-old. And so I've completely understood at this point not only how to avoid teenagers, but also how to avoid 0 to 8-year-olds, and then how to allow myself to remember they don't love Maria because they're self-fulfilling prophecies, what they're playing out in their brain and their head and all of it. So you just don't worry. You allow yourself to breathe. Remember, God is good, and that love is very much easy for the vulnerable of heart. And that reminds me of a song. I think it's a Michael Bublé song. But yeah, so again, it's really sad story that you have teenagers who I get to see grow up who are already affected by this suffering shit. I'm going to try and make sure to let you all know again, love is easy. My teenage boyfriend, I was tired of the buffoonery because it felt childish, but it was because we were growing up. I was 19. I'm like, I'm 19 now. I'm not a kid anymore. I mean, as a kid, it's fine. I know we have some incompatibilities, but now I'm beginning to notice this is, you may decide what you want because you're undecided. So anyone who loves doesn't have indecision. But you need to love yourself first. Otherwise, you haven't committed. I committed to Maria. Maria gets treated very well because I would never want you to worry about my health. I would not want you to worry about, why would I want to cause stress upon you? And it's not my job to reassure you, no, but I'm going to consistently communicate to you. And that's because I got taught how to do it effectively, thanks to my oversoul. Because again, it's, no, I'm not going to go there today. I was going to make a joke. So anyways, love is easy. Love is kind. The ones who don't know how to love, we feel sad for them because they won't ever know how to be a functional child adult. And whether they're mystic, spiritual, or mindful, doesn't matter. They just won't know who they really are because they won't ever get into a relationship with themselves. So that fancy lady man in suit and more that I make fun of, I know why they're important and why it's not they're mesmerizing people with their charming words. No, people want what they have to offer them because they're that scared of themselves. Their safety behavior is all shame, blame, fall, revenge. They don't know love. That's why anybody would say that we don't know love because they're stingy with their own love. And oxytocin gene hormone. I love that science has explained to me things that I knew when I was a kid already. I just think, wow, if only I could go back in time. Now I'd have big fancy words to say. So your boyfriend, I'm thinking that what he did, yeah, it's what that guy said. So he must have shame. And therefore, you really sure you want to take him back? Because I'm going to say it's better if you don't. Maybe you'll find another boy that is emotionally mature, available, and not this boy. And for this person, I would say, look, the fact that you want tit for tat doesn't really mean that you have a healthy ego. You have a small ego, and you would want to be able to forgive without having to have, I'm going to do to you what you did to me. Look, I gossiped, but FYI, you kind of have an attitude and you kind of do this thing where you take other girls' boys. So, you might want to reconsider because I think you have low self-esteem and therefore you might want to evaluate that one. Oh, over here. So, yes, you think that you're going to be looked at. That's not going to work. And I'm just joking right now. But again, as a 45-year-old woman, I already remember telling teenagers, there's no need for you to be an idiot. I was an idiot too, but now that I learned, Maria, you're a hypocrite. You won't listen to us if we tell you what to do. You're right. I wouldn't because you're not grown-ups. And now that I'm a grown-up, I'm letting you know securely attached, healthy self-worth people are actual grown-ups. So honor the grown-ups. They're emotionally mature and available. And then they know how to be nice to the emotionally immature cowards. We do not point the finger. They all are good and dandy with their islands, with their Peter Pans and their Wendy's, and it's really hard to love. So they don't know vulnerability. If there's one thing that makes me sad, is that I didn't get to experience a vulnerable 11-year-old heart, or 12 or 13 or 14 and 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. But yeah, the 11-year-old. So vulnerability, I'm going to say, has an essence of an 11-year-old. And what's really fun to let you in on, fun fact, is that I get to share that vulnerability and that depth of the profoundness with Krishna Lila, curiosity, with my Shiva, with my Kali. And so I have a good time because I'm appreciating the fact that I have emotions and that they're not scary. And then when you get to share that, that's really fun. And it's actually one of the things that an empowered feminine will tell you. Is a pity that masculines don't ever find that out unless they become empowered. And then it's also pity because they really do not appreciate that which makes them human. And that's where Pinocchio didn't have to hit rock bottom to figure it out. He just disregarded the fairy godmother, whatever, and how the story goes. Like anybody else who disregards that, which is Patrick Tiahan online telling you all about what a toxic relationship looks like and how nobody looks for abusive relationships. So when someone says secure attachment and she's an attachment coach is boring, you just understand that the people who are tuning out the good therapists are the ones who are hooked on their pseudo aliveness. And when they like to compare their stories to those of us who don't have it, the reason we are polite is because the minute you say that's not how my story went, oh, you're just trying to be different. Oh, you're just lying. You know what? What? You think you're always happy? What? So the minute a person doesn't actively look at a relationship as something that gives them always value and then can genuinely just say, wow, here's all the things I learned from, and here's the areas that of course I can criticize. So as you get older, this is the tone of a person who's growing up. Of course, if you've met me as a teenager, that's why they say you changed. No, I got older. I mean, to me, I'm not changed. I'm maintaining the same integrity, the same values, same virtue. Well, you're polyamory. Yeah, because I already had an open relationship. Why? What's the deal? You don't understand how some of us can evolve, expand, or basically, are you in my love space? So, again, when people are open to love, they're curious. They don't have judgmental and characterological distinctions that they throw at you. So just remember, a genuine intellect, like a genuine person, is going to be curious of who you are and what is your story. And that's why they love, and that's why they know it's easy. And then when we meet the ones who are not, we are still learning, I know I am, how to be able to remind oneself, differentiate, like Dr. Dennis Siegel taught me. Breathe, open your heart, and Care Bears. Ooh, no, not Care Bears, but you open your heart, you say, hey, God, hey is cool if you want. That's a mindfulness practice with mindset skills, with the inner growth mindset, that you can just allow yourself to, hey, it's cool. And that's it. You don't want to name it because you don't have to name the other person's nervous system. You just allow yourself to recalibrate because you are not in danger if you share your genuine, vulnerable heart. And really what it is you get to continue to become more of the functional adult with your inner child, because that's exactly what you're doing, is what you got, a reassurance. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be... So you get reassured. All emotions are that, and that's why you're doing the prefrontal cortex workout. I say you don't have to call them child parts, because like Dr. Danny Siegel said, he doesn't say his 1-year-old wants a hug. He just maybe hugs himself. He has a good partner, so he doesn't have to do that. She supports him. And good partnership when it's good partnership, because again, they will believe in each other. They will not hide from each other. They will talk about thoughts, emotions. They will have consistent smiles together, consistently want to grow old together. Very easy. In fact, it's beautiful. So again, anybody who thinks that grown old means a ball and a chain, you got to feel bad for that person. Who knows what they witnessed, but they could go get help. So you don't want to feel too bad. You just want to remember ignorance. That's why they suffer. That's like that Shaolin master says, yeah? Ignorance, true. They don't know terror real, and they decide to ignore going to therapy. So it is what it is. I hope you enjoyed, and remember, be yourself, and that love is easy. We'll be back with more. Have a good one.